This hat is the Cms Switch. What it does is it controls the countermeasures system. The control panel is over here, as well as the upfront display here. So we're looking at jammer, missile warning system, chaff and flare, and the radar warning system is just over here. This controls in the dispenser system here, your chaff and your flare programs and the systems, with the system switches to enable them. Here, things are turned off and off generally with this switch, so if you need to turn on your jammer or your you start dispensing, that's where you do it. Just going to throw myself into an altitude hold mode, get the plane into a bit of an orbit and engage altitude hold. And I think that will do. Alright, so starting with the configuration here, we'll look at this first. You can see we've got our program, and the program is in A. If I CMS left and right, I can cycle the program. You can see the hat actually moving as I go left and right. You can also see that in the upfront display. I'm on program H. It goes all the way through till it hits... it goes all the way through actually. I think the reason once you get past a certain letter, they all become basically the same. Now you can see we've got 240 chaff and 120 flares on board, and what we can do is we can actually start programming this. So in the startup sequence you would have enabled it at least to standby for turning it off. The mode switch here lets you switch between completely manual modes and semi-manual modes and completely automatic modes, which would be that one there. As well as that, we've got standby and off. So standby, nothing happens, you can program it as you like. In manual mode, you've got complete control over the dispenser program and dispensing. Semi-manual, it will choose the program for you. You can change it, of course, but if a missile has been fired, it will make a best guess of the program to use, and you just need to press start, and you do that with CMS forward, which I won't do now, but that hat switch forward turns on the dispensing. And if I switch it to fully automatic, it will dump flares and chaff for you, as well as choose the mode. Generally I keep it in semi, so that at a moment's notice I can start dispensing and leave the actual program up to the CMS system. Manual is something I use if I know exactly the sort of program I want, and can set it up beforehand and run in and just start dispensing when I want to. An example of that would be running in with guns and dispensing, a few flares every few seconds just in case. So the next thing we'll look at is, actually I'll just CMS to get back to A. Now we can look at the programs. So this switch here, the display, if I right click it, I can set up the settings for program A. So what this says is 2 chaff, 0 flare, 1 interval, 10 cycles. So that's pretty simple. You just combine that together in a story, so every second it will dispense 2 chaff, 0 flare, and it will do that 10 times. So over 10 seconds it will drop 20 chaff. So this is sort of a slow chaff dump. Now if we CMS right, you can see this one is 4 chaff, with an interval of half a second, 10 times. So that's going to drop many chaff. Same again here, 4 flares, 0 chaff, 0.2 of a second, 5 times. So that's over 1 second. It's going to drop 4 flares every 0.2 of a second. It's probably what, 20 flares or something. If we go to D, you can get the idea. So you start learning these sequences. Here's some of where it dumps chaff and flare at the same time. This would be a good sequence to use if you're being engaged by all sorts of different systems, or you have no idea what's going on, and it could be either radar guided, and flares. It's probably a good time to cover what flare and chaff does. Chaff is basically just strips of radar reflective material that hides you in a cloud, so the radar systems can't see you. And flares are similar, but they do the IR signature, so they dump out heat-seeking masks for the aircraft's engines to hide behind. So heat seekers will go for the flares instead of their engines, and radar-guided missiles will go for the chaff instead of your radar cross-section. It's a good idea to note the different weapon systems that are available. In this particular mission I've got some IR heat-seeking SAM systems, and I've also got radar-guided anti-aircraft systems, the Shilka mobile system. It's pretty old, but can still be effective. Okay, so that's where we've set up our system here. I can also turn on and off the systems here, but we won't worry too much about that after startup. I'm just going to set myself up in a mode that makes sense. So if we go, I think it was E. No. Probably more worried about the heat seekers. So we'll go full flares, 0.2 of a second, 5 cycles through. Okay, over here we've got the jammer. I've got the jammer set to AAA. And the jammer is that thing on the wing. Just going to get out a little bit of this bank. So there we go. We've got AAA. Missile warning system is active. Don't need to worry about that. Okay, we've also got some lights here which indicate that there has been a missile launch, and that'll be a red light that appears about there, I think. Email missile launch. If you are getting pinged on the radar warning system, there's just a little wheel here to turn down the volume, and you can also turn down the brightness if it's too bright at night, for example. The radar warning system is here. It has lots of symbology that I won't go into, indicating the different types of threats. In general, a number will indicate that the SAM type. So, you know, it might be an SA whatever, SA 6, 8, SA 3, I don't know, something like that, and so it will be a 3. The highest priority threat is in a diamond, and it doesn't show range. It has no idea of the range because all it's detecting is the radar signature coming in, the tracking and the scanning that the SAM system is doing. So on the outside of the radar warning system, it will put the lower threat on the outside. If it's closer towards the middle, that means it's a high threat. So judge the closeness to the center as an indication of its threat. So that's probably all I'll go into in terms of the missile warning system. An M means a missile, or it might be an L, I forget now, but we can test that out, and I'll just fly in towards our target area and see if we can get a missile launch on the way. So as I do that, I'm just going to select a waypoint. Let's see if we can see any targets down there. Okay, we've got a tank. Alright, that is a Shilka. ZU-234. Okay, I'll fire the laser and create a mark point there. And we can see exactly where that is. So that is mark point A is where that Shilka is. Right there. Okay. Interesting. Although not the highest threat. the Shilka really is a vintage sort of Soviet era weapon system. Nowhere near as dangerous as the modern systems, but we'll see what else is around here. And interestingly, nothing is actually emitting a radar detection yet. So, okay, we're about as low as we need to be. Okay, we've got highest threat there, AAA. We're going to press down on the CMS hat. Do that again. Press down, press down. You can see that there. Oh, okay. Missile launch, missile launch. You can see it. 3 missile launches.
Pull up, pull up. Pull up, pull up.
Alright, so that is the basics of missile evasion, using the jammers to try and break the lock with radar guided systems, setting up, cycling and deploying the chaff. I've only got 5 flares left to give you an idea. I was fairly aggressive there on the flares, but I was getting about 3 SAM launches at a time. And they were pretty close, and I think they were Strellas that were coming up at me. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to counter and deal with some air threats. It's certainly not the best airplane to be in to be evading missiles, simply because it's not the fastest aircraft. You can't really outmaneuver a lot of SAM's launches whilst carrying weapons. If the SAM launches are going to result in the destruction of the aircraft, there's a jettison button here that you can press to dump all stores. It's basically a mission kill, and you'll have to return to base to reload your weapons, but it will give you a huge amount of maneuverability and speed to pull the G's to get out of a difficult situation. So as a last ditch resort, feel free to jettison your stores and evade the SAMs and try to RTB. In general, do dive and dump the altitude, try and get some terrain masking like I have right now. And it also defeats the missiles because they have a great deal of energy initially, very low maneuverability, and if they have to try and track you, particularly as you're beaming them on 3 and 9 o'clock and diving, they'll run out of energy trying to turn and keep a leading line on your course. So thanks for watching. My name's Lindemann and this is DCS World.